congrats, we're back with some more Colorado Avalanche franchise mode in FHM 12. And in this one, we are going to start the year 9 offseason. And probably I can't imagine it's going to be too long, honestly, because our roster is pretty much already set, because it's not like we have too much cap space to work with. I suppose I could check the trade block real quick. There is Oliver Sundberg, who's available on the trade block, 4-star ability. 25 years of age. He's certainly a good player. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to trade for him, though. I'm not sure if we have the assets to do so. And even if we did, we have 4 covered, at least for this year, so I don't think he's someone we need. If anything, we would need a defenseman, but even our defensive core as is still pretty solid, despite the fact that Makar has dropped off to a 3.5-star ability, right? So I think we could just take this core into this final year, unless there's some stud defenseman out there that would change my mind, but I doubt it. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing any. At least not on the trade block screen. Let's see free agency. There's Niko Mijatovic. He's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. 4-star ability, 29 years of age. But like I said, I just don't think we need another forward. If anything, I'd be getting a defenseman. There's Brewster-Witz, who's a 3.5-star ability. I don't think he really upgrades any of our current top 4 defensemen, if I'm being honest, because you have Korchinski, you have Makar, you have Nemeth, all of them still very good, right, at 3.5-star ability. Then Rasnik, who last year had 49 points on the season, might have the potential to grow up to a 3.5-star talent as well if he has another good season, right? So I just don't think that that's worth it. I think the only thing that would be worth it at this point is, a 4.5-star ability defenseman. And even then, that would cost a lot to trade for. So I just don't think that there's an obvious move in the cards here that would make sense anyway. So I think we just take this roster forward into year number 10 and see what we can do. So let's simulate up to the draft order announcements on July 5th. All right, it's time for the draft lottery. At number 16, you have the Devils, followed by Nashville, San Jose, the Rangers, Winnipeg again, Florida, Ottawa, Carolina, Edmonton, Pittsburgh. So Philly moves up. Anaheim, Detroit, Dallas, Philly at number 2, and Tampa at number 1. All right, time for the draft. So you have 3 goaltenders in the top 4, as we saw before in the last episode. So this should be interesting. Let's see who is available for us at our pick. All right, so you have one of the 3.5-star goaltenders is available in Wolf Steinhoff. Yeah, I mean, he looks decent. It's not like we're going to be seeing him grow into anything that we would, we wouldn't be using him in this franchise mode, but still a pretty decent goaltender prospect, so I might take him here. There was one guy, though, who I wanted to show you guys, Richard Watson. So he he has 3 Stanley Cups already, all of which are with your Colorado Avalanche in the same year. So, I mean, I know I said we were going for a 3-peat, but it's not exactly what I had in mind. But anyways, it's not like we would have been able to get him anyway. He went 3rd overall to Dallas. There is a 3-star potential left winger available as well, Oleg Mikarin. He's got some decent offensive ratings already for being a 0.5-star ability. Defensive ratings are decent, I guess. Positioning is at 12. Defensive reads at 13. Physical ratings are, they're okay, honestly. They've got the 14 agility, 13 balance, 12 speed, 17 stamina. That's good. 16 determination. So he's not bad, I guess. Let's see his player report. Strongest part of his game is playmaking ability, outstanding stamina, very injury resistant. He's never going to be getting injured. Sturdy there. Ready to learn, like that. Decent on ice vision. Weakest part of his game is physical play. Even the worst aspects of his game are still relatively strong. If he's any roster controversy, will follow. Did not see that. All right, yeah, I'll just take Steinhoff. And jumping ahead to pick number 56 now. The best player available is once again a goaltender, Jan Vasily, 3-star potential. Although I did see a 1.5-star ability available, Martin Larson. He looks pretty interesting. He's got the 3.5-star consensus, so might be someone worth considering. Projected to go at number 20. Good personality. Strongest part of his game is skating. Skating is excellent. Decent stamina. Coaches like his work ethic. Pretty good on-ice vision. Weakest part of his game is physical play. None of his weaknesses are a serious liability. Yeah, he looks good. He looks pretty good. In fact, I'll take him. Martin Larson. Where are you? There you are. Welcome to the Colorado Avalanche. And we're at pick number 88 now. There's really not much left, so I'll just take the 3-star goaltender in Vasily. Pick 120, and I think we're just going to simulate the rest of the draft here. Oh, so apparently I guess I must have missed the Hall of Fame inductions. Into the Hockey Hall of Fame this year are Sidney Crosby, Steven Stamkos, Roman Hamrlik, and Pekka Rinne. Ooh, apparently we have 2 players who are out of shape right now, Koke and Korchinski. Do not like that. All right, we're at the end of the preseason here, and I think we're going to need to send 2 players down. Yeah, we're at 25. So it's going to have to be a couple of forwards because we're at 7 defensemen. And I think that's probably just going to be Patikin and Ikonen because they both have low 50s for grades there. So yeah, we'll just send them both down. And that'll take us to 23. So now this will be our lineup for the start of year number 10. You have Nabokov and Bereznoy in nets. On defense, you have Korchinski, Makar, Nemeth, Rasnik, Ball, Heiskanen, and Mielke. And at forward, you have Necas, Vladimirov, Neuenschwander, Kasper, Meyer, Zhilkin, Koke, McKinnon down to a 3-star ability now, Shilov, Murniaks, Edqvist, Spellqvist, Heineman, and Albanese. So let's get underway with year number 10. Well, first major injury of the year, Marco Kasper out. Indefinite torn back muscle. You absolutely hate to see it. How long is indefinite? 146 days. That's basically the whole season. Oh boy. At least in terms of the regular season, that's 5 months. That's going into February, maybe March. Yikes. That is not what you like to see to start out the season. And he was our first line center. So that's going to move Meyer up probably to the first line. Let's see. Well, it's moving. Right now it's got McKinnon up there. And then Shilov and then Murniaks and then Meyer. So it's an odd combination there. I think we may have to make an emergency center trade here. Let's just see if anybody's out there. Problem is, I'm not sure who we would give up for a replacement for Kasper, right? Like that's a 4-star ability that we need to replace for the majority of the year. And then, once Kasper comes back, because he will be back during the regular season, we're gonna have to figure out the cap issue. And that's, I don't know, that might be a lot. That might be a lot to ask for. There is Wojtek Sihar, who's a 4-star ability, 3.2 for the next 2 years. That might not be bad if we retain somehow. And despite the fact that he only had 31 points last year, I can't imagine he's going to be too easy to trade for here. Let's just see what they would want for him. It would undoubtedly have to be a first-round pick. Yeah, it's going to be a lot. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot. Probably going to need to be a second in there, maybe even another first. Yeah. I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot for this team because with where we're at right now, with all of our players getting older, right? And like I've said in the past, I still want to, even though this GMO is ending, I still want to have this franchise be, in a good spot, or at least have a good starting place to, start the rebuild from. And that does not involve trading first round picks at this point, because, you have Necas who's 35, you have Korchinski who's 30. You have Nemeth who's 30, you have Makar 35, you have McKinnon, of course, who's 39, basically at the end of his career at this point. You have Ball 34, Heiskanen's 35. Like, this is a pretty old team. I do not feel comfortable. Like I said, I want to have this team be in a good spot going forward, even after we're done here. So I do not want to just trade away first round picks like that willy-nilly when we're at this stage, right? Like our window is essentially closed. We're basically, this is the final year that we can contend, I think. Anything after this is, we're going to be close to rebuild mode, right? So I don't feel comfortable trading away those first round picks at this point. And there's no other, I don't think there's any other players on the trade block who would fit what we're looking for, right? Like a very cheap, but also talented player. I can't imagine there's too many players like that. Yeah, the only other player who's a 4-star or even close, who's also cheap, is a defenseman, and that's not what we need. So I think for right now, we just have to go ahead and hope for the best. But if it comes down to it, then I suppose we're gonna have to check the trade block again at some point soon, because Kasper is a big injury. That is a big injury to get. Like that's our number one center down for the majority of the season. And we're already not starting out this season great. We're 1-2 so far. Let's see what this game against New York. That's going to be a 5-4 loss. Oh boy. Yeah, not starting out the right note here. All right, so we're on January 1st, about halfway through the season. We're currently 20-14-2, which is only good enough for 5th in the Central. And unfortunately, we are just outside the wild card as of right now. So we're not hopeless. Like we still are obviously, in the playoff chase, but we're going to need to definitely pick it up here. So let's see what's going on currently. I have Necas with 30 points, Neuenschwander with 25, Vladimirov and Nemeth with 23, Spellqvist with 22. Good rookie season for him so far. Mielke with 21, Meyer with 20, McKinnon and Korchinski also with 20, Zhilkin with 19, Koke with 17, Shilov and Makar with 16, Murniaks and Heiskanen with 15, Edqvist and Ball with 9, Albanese with 8, Heineman with 7, Kasper with 5 in 3 games, and Rasnik with 4 in 13. He's currently injured. So, I mean, we've been missing Casper for sure. We have been definitely missing Casper here. I'm going to check the trade block again, see if there's anybody out there. Yeah, no one really fits the bill, honestly, for what I'm looking for. Here's the thing. I don't want to just leave it up to the simulation at this point. I think we might have to do something. Well, something we can do is probably move Berezno because he's got the 886 as the second season in a row of an 880, around an 880 save percentage in 10 games played so far. So I think we can move Berezno probably down to the AHL, and then maybe we give Selivanov a chance. He's already a 3-star. He's a 3-star ability according to the team scouting. So may as well just see what he's about, and we will send down Berezno. Actually, did we have Selivanov before? Like, did we give him a chance earlier? Yeah, we gave him a chance during the 2030-31 season. That was for 7 games. He had an 897. I mean, he's been decent in the AHL. So, and you know, I'm sure he's grown since then, since the last time we gave him a chance. So I'll give him one more chance here. It's been a few years anyway, so we'll see what he can do. And if we need to, we'll acquire someone at the trade deadline, or maybe before that. I don't know. But right now, there's just not really many other moves we can do, unfortunately. At least none that would make sense. Oh, Berezno was claimed off waivers by Winnipeg. All right. I mean, sure, you can have him. He wasn't doing too well lately anyway, but you know, he did give us a couple of good years with the 909 and 920 save percentages. So that I thought he was going to continue that, but apparently not. So he fell off lately. Oh boy, McKinnon down 2-3 weeks. All right, so we're on February 1st now, 27, 22, and 3. Good enough for 4th in the Central. But yeah, we're still below Vegas. We're below Vegas for that wild card spot. And we're 3 points behind Dallas too. We do have a game in hand, but we really got to start winning. We really got to start picking up these wins if we're going to make the playoffs this year. And honestly, even if we do make the playoffs, we've had some pretty bad losses this year, if I'm being real. A 6-1 loss against Anaheim, 5-3 loss, 5-1 loss. There's a lot of ugly losses in here. 5-4 loss. Yeah, we're really missing Casper. We are really missing him. The good news is that Selivanov has been decent lately, actually pretty good. 9-12 in 11 games played, so it was a good call up. But still, despite his performances, we're not, you know, in a position where we can really afford to lose too many more games here. But as I take a look at the trade block, it's unfortunately the same story as before. There's just not an obvious move here that would help us, you know. I mean, maybe Slavkovsky, but you know, he's already 30. He's got a 6-year contract. And we're, you know, as it is, we're already most likely headed into rebuild territory soon, right? So I don't really feel like trading away the assets that would be needed for Slavkovsky, because Carolina is definitely going to want a lot for him. I think we just go ahead to the trade deadline at the very least. We'll see where that takes us. Hopefully we're in a better spot by then, but this has been one rough season for sure. I would say this is going to come down to the wire. If we somehow manage to clinch a playoff spot, it's going to be by a hair. Oh boy, there's a loss to Utah, and now Cale Makar is injured. Oh no. How long? 1 to 2 months. Yeah, I don't know. We might be cooked here. We might be cooked. We had a loss to Utah just now. 4-2 loss. We're now 5th in the division. We have Winnipeg to compete with as well, and they're now 3 points ahead of us, and they have a game in hand on us. And also Nashville in the 3rd divisional spot is now at 65 points, so they're slipping away. The divisional spots are slipping away, and also we now have more competition for the wild card. Not liking this. This is going to be one rough finish to the season for sure. And Casper's not going to be back for another 1 to 2 months. We may not see him back until April. We may not see him back at all for the rest of this season. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. We're not out of it yet. We're still very much in the hunt for the playoff spot, but it's less and less likely as time goes on here, unless we do something of significance. I'm just not sure what that something is, you know. Because like I said, there's just nothing that's really available right now, and we would have to overpay for any kind of, you know, star power that we desperately need right now, and that's not something that we can afford. That this team would be able to afford going into the future, right? So I hate to do this in such an important year, but we may have to just hope for the best. That might be the only option here. Oh boy, there's another loss to Edmonton, and now Kevin Ball is injured. This is great. This is great. 2 to 3 months. Yep, he's done for the season. So, yeah, this is not ideal. So we're gonna need to get another defenseman up here. It may as well be Westling. Nah, I don't think we're making it. We're way too inconsistent right now. We just had two big losses in a row against Winnipeg and Columbus. And then you have Minnesota coming up, who is a divisional rival. I mean, obviously Minnesota's towards the bottom, but that loss against Winnipeg was big. We messed up big time against Winnipeg right there. We just gave them that was essentially a 4-point game, and we blew it. So I don't think I'm going to be honest. I think the window has closed. I believe that the window for your Colorado Avalanche has indeed closed at this point. It's still technically possible to get in. We're 5 points back of the wild card, but it's pretty unlikely at this point. You know what? What if I fire Marco Sturm and just see what I can do as the head coach? Just why not, at this point? I think I might do that. Because, we got completely destroyed in the playoffs last year. We swept out of the first round. And now this year we may not even make the playoffs, it looks like. So, yeah, you know what? I'm firing Marco Sturm. And I myself will be the head coach. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if I can salvage this season somehow as the team's head coach for the rest of the season. Oh boy, Kevin Korchinski out for 2-3 weeks. It's not good. Not good at this stretch. We're also going to need to call up another defenseman. It may as well be Lipoyoki. All right, finally, Marco Kasper is back in the middle of March. So let's get him back in there for sure. All right, we have finished the regular season 40, 36, and 8. Good enough for 88 points and 5th in the division. And of course, we unfortunately did not make the playoffs for the first time in this franchise mode. So you know what? That's probably a good note to end it off on. I mean, it's not a good note to end it off on, but it's the closing. It's very clearly the window has officially closed for your Colorado Avalanche is what I'm trying to say. So I think honestly, the next step would be, I think you rebuild. I genuinely think you rebuild going into next season because it's pretty clear that this team is just going to keep dropping at this point because, you have Nabokov 32, you have Kasper who's 30 already, you have Natchez who's 36, Korchinski's 30, Makar is 36. So many key players are getting up there in age, and it's just I don't think it's going to be, despite the amount of talent that this team has, on paper with all the 3.5 stars, 4 stars, it's pretty clearly just not going to work moving forward, right? So I think really you need some young blood to be injected into this lineup. And obviously, guys like, Spelquist, who did eventually make the roster, but it took him a while. But I think this team really needs young blood injected into it because it's just getting, it's strange because it's not like half the roster is 30 over like it was at the start of the franchise mode, right? So I think we did a good job in that respect, but it's just that the current composition is not going to last because obviously we didn't make the playoffs this year, and you have a lot of key players going down. But I think the biggest issue for this team is going to be on defense because you have Makar going down, he's 36 years of age, Nemet's 31, Korchinski's 30, and that problem is going to keep getting worse. It will keep getting worse as time goes on. So I do think that a rebuild would be in order here for Colorado. It would be the next step because and it sucks because there's so many talented players here like Neuenschwander, Kasper, Vladimirov, right? He's 24. I'm just talking about all the younger guys here, or the guys who are on the younger side, right? Zhilkin is 26, Myers 25, Spelkvist is 25. So those guys are all solid, right? Those are all solid players. But the fact that we do not have a defensive core for the future is, I think, the biggest issue moving forward. And obviously Nabokov aging doesn't help either. And most importantly, there is a 5-star potential defenseman available in the draft this year in Eli Carthy. So you got to think maybe you trade someone like Nabokov for that first overall pick to make sure you get Carthy, right? So I think at the very least, I'll do the draft of this upcoming offseason, right? Because I do want to try to get the ball rolling for the future for this team, right? So maybe I trade, like I said, maybe I trade Nabokov to get that pick to guarantee that we get Carthy, right? Because I think he's going to be key for the future of the Avalanche, really. And he's got some good strengths and weaknesses here too. He's willing to learn as well. That's a really good strength to have. And your scouts believe that Carthy may have significant upside potential that other scouts may have missed, although it's far from certain he'll ever reach it. So I think genuinely we need to get that first overall pick, and I will attempt to trade for it in the next episode. But yeah, I think this is clearly going to be the end of an era, honestly, for the Colorado Avalanche and starting to transition into the next one, because the past 2 seasons in particular have been very disappointing. Obviously going from, 2 Stanley Cups in a row to last year getting outed in the first round in a sweep, and then this year no playoffs. Like that's extremely disappointing. So before we wrap things up here, let's just check out the player stats to end off the season. You have Natchez with 64 points, leads the way. Yeah, that's another problem. We really did not have much scoring this year. Obviously, the fact that we did not have Casper for the majority of the season didn't help that, but still, if a player like Casper being out of the lineup means that you're all of a sudden not a playoff team, that's kind of a bad sign. Like you can't expect to make the playoffs when one player getting injured, even if it's your best player, derails your entire season, right? So there's very much work to be done for this team heading into the future. Anyway, getting back to the points, you have Neuenschwander with 59, you have Vladimirov 55, Meyer 54, Koke and Spelquist 44, Nemetz with 41, Mielka with 39, Makar with 36, Shilov 35, Jokin 34, McKinnon with 32, who will be interesting to see what happens on July 1st with him, Heiskanen with 30, Merniaks and Korchinski with 28, Rasnik with 27, Edqvist with 26, Albanese with 20, Heineman with 19, Ball with 15, Casper with 10 and 14 games played, Lepoyoki with 5, and Westling with 4. And in goal, you have a .910 save percentage for Selivanov in 36 games played. So he was pretty good. 3 shutouts. And Nabokov, only 43 games played with an .898 and 0 shutouts. So that's probably another problem there was Nabokov's performance towards the end, I guess. He did not have a good finish, which would make sense considering that we lost quite a bit towards the end there. Yeah, I mean, he had a good regular season last year. And then I recall he had a good start to the regular season this year, but he obviously that did not last. So yeah, just very unfortunate. Besides that, I think that'll be just about it for this one. So one thing's off here, but not before I thank the channel members. Thank you guys so much for all your supports, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we wrap up this series.